know, you get an insight and you know something, you know, but you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, you know. But when somebody makes you say it, then, and it's true, then it just makes it more beautiful of a thing.
I'm not crazy, Malin. I'm not crazy, Malin. I've just been in a very bad mood for 40 years. 40 years.
Carpe diem. Carpe diem.
there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
trying to find what angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a wall. We're gonna take black. White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
A beast mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Oh. Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Sagafar is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick under Leaky. You're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
Something that deviates from what is standard, normal, or expected. That is the definition of Anomaly, and they've lived up to that because they have got themselves to the losers winners to try and decide if they can get to the finals. But I'm all over the place, Beck, okay? I'm stumbling. But we're going there. We roll with the punches because they're up against VE Cat Plague, who have had a bit of a tough run at being knocked down here. But, of course, they are not the team that's made this loser bracket run. They've beat Anomaly before on paper, and in history, they're the better team. So, Anomaly, they need to really kind of bring something different, a little bit of magic here if they want to try and make it to the grand finals.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a little bit goofy in terms of this losers bracket run. 2 teams being, I believe, Dragons Gravity and EMPL Gallica dropped out at the exact same time, which we'll see now. Here we go. Yeah, you can see in that losers, game 11, then things did get a little bit, silly, which means that Anomaly has been able to only have to beat SCR Esports in their loser bracket run. But that doesn't mean that they aren't still, within 1 game of reaching it to this Masters Tier Grand Finals. All they have to do is find this singular upset win, but it's something that has escaped them before.
Exactly, and there is also some other stuff going on in CGL at the moment, which you guys need to be aware of, and that is the Copa America. Premiering on May 16th. It's going to be broadcast in 3 different languages. American, apparently, Portuguese and Spanish, and you've got 4 teams there fighting in the Copa America. That's going to be good. This is going to be a great time to watch, produced by XYBA, of course, the production crew that you're very well acquainted to here in CGL. And there obviously is the South America region in CGL as well. So it's building on that aspect of the community in Overwatch that has maybe not seen as much love as it should have had. Well, now it's receiving said love. But back to the best region of Overwatch, Europe, as we have, of course, Anomaly versus Cat Plague. Later on, we do have some other matches. We've got YE Snowfall versus Mental Institution at 8 Eastern, and Solar Eclipse versus Cuddle Puddle at 10 Eastern. But they're not European teams, so who cares, I'm joking. No, go watch those matches. They're going to be good. We've been covering a lot of the playoff matches. I think somewhere in the 80s in terms of games covered, so it's been an incredible procedure to get that done. But let's refocus here, because we are deciding who will be going into the grand finals to face Dream Eaters. Is it going to be Cat Plague to get vengeance for winners round 3 when they got Frio swept into the losers bracket? Or is it Anomaly, who I think let's be honest, kind of need a bit of a miracle here, right? They've gotten here a little bit on their own merit, but also a little bit on luck. Now they just need to prove that they can get those two main ingredients and make a wonderful cake of victory.
I mean, yeah, Patisi references aside, it does feel like in this kind of EMEA Masters tier, right? I mean, there's 3 meters, tier break, cat plague, tier break, anomaly. Obviously, Anomaly would love to, change around this narrative, but we haven't got a crazy amount on paper to actually make us want to vary from it in any way, shape, or form. This game here today is so they can, cause that upset that we've been speaking about, and the place they're going to do it, that map, on start, that is going to be a Li Zhang Tower. It's just not a map I would like to play for an upset. I'm going to keep it real with you. Everybody knows it, so it's much less likely that somebody is going to come up with a curveball. It's much less likely that somebody just, won't be able to play them out for whatever reason. And so I think it is probably going to end up favoring the team who, on paper, is going to be a smidgen stronger, that being VA Cat Plague. That being said, remember, being in the CGL playoffs after that, it's losers map pick, and that is maybe where we have a chance to see the sparks fly.
Yeah, I totally agree. You are very unlikely to reinvent Li Zhang Tower on a random Masters game going on, but that does mean that even if you do lose this, you've got the losers picks, then you can kind of play into what you're a little bit more comfortable with. Of course, in terms of understanding these teams, I'm not as familiar. I've covered Cat Plague before, but in terms of what Anomaly want to be banning, what they want to be playing into, I'm not as familiar, so it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, it's EU. It's likely to lean in a certain brawly direction. But these days, maybe that's a bit of a boomer take from me. Maybe it's changed a little. But of course, Cat Plague are up first with their initial ban, and we'll see how well they know the team of Anomaly.
Yeah, a Pharah ban makes sense, especially on a Li Zhang Tower. It's become one of the very standard bans, it feels like, on this map, right? Pharah is good here. A lot of teams don't like playing it. And so your options are either, if you don't want to, mirror out the Pharah, start like a cast Tracer has set up, which not all teams are also that comfortable on, or you could just ban the bloody thing, get it over and done with. In Korea, they like to ban Tracer to force, a hit scan, but that's about it. And normally, you see this ban come out, you see they really don't want to play Pharah, they probably don't want to play, Cass, Brig, Juno, that kind of look. You probably want to target those style of comps while leaving it open for you to play something more, maybe Ramattra, maybe more Winston focused.
Yeah, you mentioned Korea. It does look like it's BTS fan who plays Pharah a lot. They're actually going to strike back with a Brigitte ban. That's going to obviously affect any kind of backline like Brigitte Anna, Brigitte Juno. It's going to basically force the Lucio in a lot of those scenarios.
Yeah.
And we'll get to see what these teams play. So let's have a look at Anomaly before we dive into it. So we have BTS Fan and Kuragari will be the DPS lineup. That BTS Fan has Pharah down as their most played, so maybe that is another reason why we saw that Pharah ban come in. You have the tank there of Super BH, Lord of Terran, and Sushi Roll. They're going to be making up the squad of Anomaly here. This is the team that kind of needs to do a little bit of proving, right? This is Cat Plague's game to lose, but it's Anomaly's game to prove themselves.
As I recall, the last time I cast these, at least Anomaly, Sushi Roll really struggled on that break. Maybe having her off it to start things off is going to work out in their favor, but if any player has to step up from Anomaly, I'm going to put it on her. VA Cat Plague, Spazzy, Panicism, Inferno, Nuban, and Kyrios. They don't really have to step up. They don't have anything to prove in this game. They just need to be able to convert what we kind of all expect from them. But there is still that level of anti-choke, and if I were to highlight somebody for that, I just want to see what Inferno can do if he does end up starting on that Haz.
Yeah, obviously Hazard was really strong for a while there. Still obviously strong. When we talk about strong, right, we're talking about the meta. We're in Masters. The meta is not exactly like a ball and chain, right? You are always going to be better at this level playing specifically what you are good at and not forcing yourself into the meta if, let's be honest, you're not good at it. So that's what I want to see these teams do here and kind of recognize their own strengths and build that as a platform to kind of base themselves on.
I mean, also in terms of meta right now, it still feels pretty open, right? Now, sue me, I haven't watched much like top tier Overwatch since Hangzhou, but has much changed since that patch? Not really. And obviously in that patch, we saw Haz, Winston, Ram, Malga, Diva, like all these different looks. And so I feel like if you wanted to play something, as long as it's not like super cooked, you know, as long as you're not playing some like really baffling like Weaver Zen on control setups, you're probably going to be a-okay. And, you know, of course, on control here, we will see no Weaver. We're going to be surprised by that. Kiri Lucio backlines, as we very much expected, right? When you ban out the Brigitte, needing a speed for control basically 100% of the time, it enforces Kiri Lucio, Kiri Juno, or Kiri Lucio, Lucio Juno, or Lucio Anna. The latter two very tricky to play. This one pretty easy. Inferno might lack some resources, only having the Kiri heals, whereas Anomaly looking to take wide angles with this bull comp. This could be so frustrating to deal with.
Yeah, especially if Super's just going to be constantly pushing them about, and like you said, in terms of sustaining, long-term sustained fights, this Lucio Kiri not the best at it, better at striking when the iron is hot. BTS fan, they took on a lot of damage there. They're going to have to be careful. Of course, that Genji able to do much poke. Oh, Nubin taken out by Kurgari already. Maybe didn't have that TP ready, or it was such a quick one clip that they were taken out. There is a bit of a trade as BTS fan gets booped out of the map. You see Anarchism taking out Kurgari here. It's very tradey. Back and forth. Inferno is still full health and is now just barreling forward to force out the Kiri. They're going to have to just scamper off like a scolded dog. Meanwhile, Super is going to take too much damage and they will burst.
I mean, you get the magical first pick there onto Nubin, but no one's able to convert off the back of it. Great job to eliminate, I believe it was BCS, and a lot of your punching power now gone, but Kuragaki and Super BH2 just totally zoned out. So the DPS of VA Catplay there have a lot of respect from me for performing in that manner. 25% now accrued. They're looking to hold the choke. Any angles that this bullcomp can't take, and that's an advantage towards the defenders.
Anarchism on the left side here. Just try and mark this angle, this lane. Already the recall forced. Meanwhile, Lord of Tehran has actually found Spazzy there with a kunai to the forehead. Helped there by Sushi Roll. It's really working out for them, this back line. You've got both picks down, Nubin fallen, so no more support. This should be very easy for Anomaly to just walk on here and take the point.
Yeah, the bull comp's really good at just magic picking somebody. Not necessarily playing your macro perfectly, but just as long as you take your angles, then somebody is going to fall over, be it a BTS fan rail, or in this case, a Lord of Terran kunai. Off the back of that, they can just snowball. Can they do it consistently, though? That's going to be the real question, especially now also going to be online for both of these teams. Probably going to favor VA Catplague, right?
Kitsune Rush is going to pull that into question. Spazzy immediately gone down, who's went on to the Cole Cassidy there to try and get the nade. That punchy damage. Kurgari finds Nubin, and Inferno is just going to have to take the easy route out because that fight was lost.
I mean, you get two ults out, you don't spend any of your own, especially the Kitsu mines just for nothing. It's really not the end of the world, right? You'll give over 20-30% on the percentage for that. See exactly how VA Catplay want to route though, because now they know they have to play into an OC fight.
Play into OC, it's like playing right into the fire. Do they have the fire resist potions?
Oh my!
Ready! Kuragari with a two-piece on the pulse bomb. Goodbye Kaidos, goodbye Spazzy. There is trades here, but they're going to have to fight back into this one off the back of that. Catplague, they still have a whole host of ultimates that they can use. Nubin just falls over. You had the sound barrier. Obviously, Lucio's not quite there. Nubin's just going to fall over that point. Panarchism on a strand of health falls with Blade in the sheath. Now, the point might flip here, but there's going to be a very aggressive beat used. Second beat comes out from Kyrios, who's going to press the issue as you just see Sushi Roll being chased down by Inferno, who was not giving up, like a predator from Predator vs. Aliens, and Catplague have finally gained control here.
You realize there's predators in the standalone film Predator, right?
Yes, but I just didn't want to make it sound like I was calling them a predator with other meanings.
I see. But you can't play. Listen, they can jam choke with Blade. They can jam choke with Annihilate. They should be okay to get this at least a 99. But even that, I mean, Anomaly need a huge minefield to actually clear out the point.
They do, and Super has it. And of course, the Kitsune Rush will be ready immediately after that. Big Mind is going to force a push, but Panarchism does have Blade, finds Lord of Tehran, as Kitsune Rush was coming out, but falls to Kuragari. BTS fan's going to land a shot there, takes Inferno out, as they slide onto point. Right into Noon! I guess they just didn't know where it was! The dead eye just clears! And Spazzy, looking like Lord John Marston on point, is just going to end it in the favour of Caplig.
It's Pickle chilling in a corner with a 6-shooter. Fair enough. Double Deadeye kill. You don't always see that in the year of Outlaw 2025. But the fan is obviously there as well for the third, and a pretty clean dink onto the fourth member of the congregation. Great work on the pistol to clean things up in favor of VA Catplay, because it was not looking clean or whatsoever. It needed a clutch. It needed a hero. And you can see it once again. Just so chill. And Kuragari just gets clothesline. I mean, what a way for this game to start. We were kind of selling this, right? As VA Catplay just into pretty cleanly 3-0 it. But Anomaly give them a real fight this time. The clutch factor is what gets them over the line. Mirroring out the ball comp with double flex DPS. Now this is fun.
Okay. The ball match, they were playing Conkers on Li Zhang. I love to see it, but Inferno gets immediately booped off the map. Okay, well maybe we're not playing Conkers. Maybe Inferno should just go back to something they're maybe a little bit more comfortable on. And very quickly, Anomaly are just going to take this first fight.
Happens. Spazzy does get an exit, and it's going to be pretty hard to shift this Ball Tracer actually away. I say that as Spazzy dies. Inferno, maybe not long for this world, as well as Super just tries to get the differential and is able to convert it. VA Capleg really struggling once they try to steal their opponent's strategies. It might not be long before they go right back towards something of their own, but no, they want to stick on it. With this Genji Tracer, you can't play as long fights as your opposition, but your dives are going to be much stronger. So the faster they can collapse onto a target, be it BCS Fan, be it Lord of Terran, the more chance of success they'll find.
Oh my god, Super BH there. Basically playing Spider-Man is on Steam. There is a remaster. Inferno takes down Lord of Tehran finally, makes up for it, gets traded out actually. Super is just making a dominant display here. I mean, this, of all the maps, is going to be the map where Wrecking Ball can find it.
BTS Fan living there is actually filthy, but we see making use of the perk there to steal the health pack and escape with his life strategy. This time won't be the one getting staggered. But the traffic's all been one way since we went here on to Garden, right? We need to see a bit of a change, a bit of a revelation from Catplague, and now they're behind on ults. I'm not sure this is the fight we'll see it.
Spazzy immediately finds BTS Fan, so that's off the board there. Spazzy's just kind of walked out here with vengeance in their mind, looking to just John Wick the thing. Nubin falls up on the damage to Sushi Roll there to take them out. The mine's coming out from Super BH there. Point is going to swap over nonetheless, because the mines did come out a little late and doesn't quite cover a lot of that point, as Kuragari's on low HP and will get diced as they try and escape there. And now the two remaining players are still in this fight. Panarchism could have very easily taken those 2 kills.
I mean, yeah, but it was a little bit desynced. You'd love the ball to be there when you're investing dash like that. The Tracer even was a little bit desynced on their push, and so via Catplague, take a little bit of risk. And now they're set up defensively. They've got 4 ultimates. They can defend the point. Basically, add Infinitum. This is really good for them, especially with that boot converts.
Yeah, that boot forced the slide, and the gravity-defying aspect of that slide really came into play there. As BTS Fan slides onto point with Overclock, dies, and B comes in way too late now. Panarchism still found the value. Lord of Tehran trying to take out Nubin, which, by the way, Lord Tehran down as a tank player, not a support. Now the blade comes out from Panarchism. They're going to try and take out that tank newfound support player. Gonna now just look, hunting for Sushi Roll. You can't escape, but the damage may have been done. BTS Fan back, does have the overclock. Pulse Bomb, very closely made purchase. didn't quite. Still alive. The beat's going to come out from Kaidos now, as they just try and keep hold of it. They don't want Anomaly to get control here. They want to make it as painful as possible, pull out as much energy as possible. If they can get mines out here, it'd be brilliant for them. But if Kairos going down, that's going to be finally them going to find the flip.
Inferno still managed to find their kill. I'm not saying that it's going to turn by any means, but it's been fantastic work from VA Caplake, stalling the point out for this long. They're going to get to basically 99%. They forced the minefield out of their opposition. And remember, all the while, VA Caplake have been finding progress. A humongous win for the losing side here. And Anomaly just keep on being forced to expend resources. Finally, the flip comes through, but that's taken so long. VA Caplake now, as long as they can escape relatively safely, they are in pole position to take this point and this map in 2-0 fashion.
For Anomaly, that was an utter disaster. Now the initiation comes in. Kitsune Rush from Nubin on the point. You're going to have to keep a man on this point. When there's a Kitsune Rush up, you're going to be taking so much punishment, and BTS Fan is going to find out the hard way as they are taken down. Again, we're taking a lot of damage. Beats coming out from Sushi there to try and keep the team alive. Finally gets that up. They're looking to potentially at another mines, but with control and Caplake, and with your Lucio going down, it's going to be a lot more difficult here. And it looks like that they've matched them on this Wrecking Ball composition and actually found value with it. Now they just need to clean up the remaining members, and I'm scared to let go, Spec, because last time I let go, it did swap over. Nubin is actually going to go down to the mines, so there is an opportunity there. But there we go. Super going down, that'll be the nail in the coffin. That's going to be Li Zhang going to VA Caplake.
I mean, I don't want to even say that they would necessarily better on that ball comp, because they got a sort of 50% of their ult charge just from stalling, right? Or their point percentage, right? That is partially them playing well. It's also their opponents not being able to clear off the opposition. But here we get to exactly how Spazzy was able to get this flip. And yeah, I'm saving that. That's going straight on the YouTube after. That is great work. Absolutely fantastic with VA Caplake, who win map 1, not necessarily from playing cleaner Overwatch, but absolutely by having way more clutch power. You know, it's kind of those intangibles, these things you can't really coach, just coming from strong player quality, good mental, that are really going to bring you to championships. And now taking their first step on their way towards the final.
Obviously, I'm not saying that players can't play multiple roles, but Lord of Tehran, as I look more into it, is down as a tank player. Most played Winston, favorite hero Junker Queen. The flex support that's down here is Risen, who looks to not, well, I guess is here. But isn't playing. I mean, Down is playing tonight. I don't know if that's outdated though. Obviously, we have Lord of Tehran playing. And the other support is John Whack. Obviously, Sushi's in, so a little bit of flexibility here in Anomaly. But is it quite working? Perhaps not. Inferno very bravely matched them on the ball, and well, yeah, like you said, clumsily, but they did win.
Yeah, gets the job done, right? Now listen, that was the VA map. Map pick was, you know, kind of close. Now Anomaly have control, you know, being the loser of that map 1. Maybe they can take it something that's a little bit more in their ballpark. But I didn't really see anything there that's something you desperately want to play, desperately want to avoid. Maybe something like a Suravasa Ban Ram could be valid. But to be honest, like, you know, I'm not gonna say I have no idea, but actually I am. I have no idea exactly what you do if you are Anomaly up right next. So I'm actually a bit of a discussion going on in their camp right now to try and figure out how they want to play this pick ban phase, because this veto is going to be so important for exactly how they well, spend the next hour of their lives.
Well, obviously Pharah cannot be banned anymore, so maybe if Pharah is a part of your retinue usually, maybe we go to more of a Pharah orientated map where we could even still play Wrecking Ball, but this time we have the ability to play the Pharah, or we can play the Brigida, but obviously it was Anomaly that banned Brigida, so I'm thinking they probably will avoid it. But yeah, now that Pharah is a little bit more free, I would like to see if what is going to happen is true, which is You see BTS Fan playing them. BTS Fan did seem to be playing the Sojourn a bit. Didn't quite get too much done. Seemed to be struggling, especially in comparison to the counterpart, especially Spazzy, who was working wonders for the side of VA Cap League. But yeah, I don't really know what Anomaly could do here to try and turn it around. I think their best bet is to go the route of Farah, to take it to the skies, make it a dogfight.
To be fair, I didn't think the Soldier was bad. I think especially, you know, when we saw the Bull Comp finding success, a lot of the reason was they were just like heavy engager for Soldier Rail. And even though you're not, you know, diving as 3, it basically is, because the target starts off half HP, you just left click them. And so using that as a go, they were able to get some early picks, but as soon as he was like shut out, as soon as he didn't have the defensive positioning, then we weren't really able to see much in favor of Anomaly. So I'm not going to point the blame at anyone just yet. It was a very close map of control, right? It was basically 99-19 and both of those points just ended up being that VA Cap League were able to clutch it. And so we do know now where we are going next. It turns out Anomaly continuing the trend of incredibly common maps, going to King's Row. Gio, how many times in your life have you seen Lijiang King's Row in a series?
I started this whole journey casting scrims, and you'd think that in scrims people would be like, let's practice the other maps in the video game. They didn't. They tended not to. It became a joke calling it Scrimjang Tower, because it's the first map that showed up in the scrim code, and they just never changed it. I will say, from going from just playing the game to casting the game, I enjoy King's Row much less than I used to. I've been beaten by it like a mallet over the head. So, again, it's about comfort, right? If it's your comfort, fine, but you have to recognize these very old boomer maps, they're going to be the comfort of the other team as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can't lie. I've always been a King's Row hater. I don't think it's bad. I just don't think it's that good. People seem to think it's like the second coming of like, I don't know, heaven. It just ain't. Torb ban out. Makes sense. It's a Has counter. You probably want to play Has. I assume that's what we're going to see via Cat Plague. Got second ban. I just ban Has on principle because they ban Torb, but we shall see. I think the thing about the Torb ban, specifically on King's Row, is that Torb is good at stopping Tracer. Torb is good at marking multiple angles. The Torb Baron Suravasa is very strong if you want to play something like a Bull. You're on King's Row, you're not playing Bull, you're not playing Tracer. So in my opinion, it can only be a Has counter here.
Yeah, I mean, it's used a lot against the Has. He's got the survivability also and the right-click potential. But Lucio is going to be banned. Can't play getting that out. Now you're thinking, well, if we want to go fast, you probably want to be playing the Juno. So we're probably likely to see more of the Juno Brigida type backline coming out here. Obviously, Wrecking Ball and Farah still playable on King's Row. Harder, because it's a corridor. Still playable, though. They're especially the Farah with the rooftops and those high elevated corners that you can use. There is a substitute coming in. John Wack will be coming in here on the support lineup, tagging out for Lord of Tehran. John Wack is down as a support. To be fair, is down as a main support. So we've got 2 players down as main support on the role. And Lucio's banned, so I'm curious to see exactly which one of these supports is going to be the one flexing for the team.
I imagine it will be John Wack, but that's just based off of vibes more than anything else. I think the ban on the Lucio is a target ban towards Sushi Roll. I think, what the hell? Sorry, I don't imagine they'll actually play this comp, right? Because Doom and Afara is very launch of Overwatch 2, I'll put it that way. Not something you see too much nowadays. VA Cat Plague playing a very standard comp. Very reasonable, honestly. You're playing mostly for poke-cons. Panicism can go for walls on the choke. Blizzard's a lovely ult. Obviously, with your backline, you've got a decent amount of poke, a very high amount of sustain, and 2 fantastic ultimates with Nano Boost and Orbital Ray. And Spazzy's just there to play for your long range as well. Anomaly seems to want to play Winston. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Backline could really struggle, but actually taking the point is going to be super, super hard to shift Inferno.
Yeah, it's going to be about just applying and following up from the pressure the BTS fans going to get done from the air. Of course, is going to have to be very well aware that they could get hit by a vortex here, get brought down, hit by a headshot from Spazzy. There is a lot of threats, but the BTS fan does seem to be a long-term player of Pharah. Meanwhile, Super has had to use Bubble defensively there as they were taking a little bit of hurt. That's going to pause any continuation of this push onto first point. Well, Kurgari actually is like, no, I will just push forward by myself and single-handedly take out Spazzy, which is fine. Pharah's not meant to be in there, BTS fan, and getting caught in there with the Rambatra, that's a whole other level. Kuragari has the team on their back right now. Super's going to follow up, take out the back line. Kidios is going down, and off the back purely of your Tracer, locking the hell in, you're going to take the first point.
I mean, I would say it was good from Kuragari to find the opening kill, but when we find the trade on BTS fan, you're still in a pretty good spot, all things considered. It's just our backline is in a super punishable spot, and the nade as well from John Mack is pretty beautiful, and so we couldn't play a retake from Arch. Instead, Point gets capped in pretty good time. Issue is now you're now playing Winston on Streets phase, and so a lot of hard work for Super and Kuragari to find backline scaling.
I would have thought they would swapped immediately, but yeah, they are going for it, which I respect, but also, you know, I respect Ants for constantly, you know, going out there and getting stepped on to find cheese. Doesn't mean it's a good strat all the time. Yeah, Super just falls over, John Max down, BTS fan falls, and that is Caplague in control here on defense in that choke.
So now you're... Oh, okay. This Trace is getting staggered. I've been there before. I know how it feels. Unfortunately, you just get staggered for like 15 seconds at the very least. So, so optimal. You're behind the choke. You're on Anacom with the Winston. You can nano your Winston in, but then via cap, like, if your ult track is accurate, we'll just nano Inferno, and they're going to have advantage at least on the choke fight. So I guess it's just a lot of praying that BTF fan or Kuragari find some sort of opening. This is really awkward now for Anomaly.
They're going to continue to just push the issue. Flash finds Kato is following up the damage done by a stray missile, but the front lines are being held here momentarily by a nanoed up Inferno, but there's not enough action to be taken, and okay, sure, barrage them, why not?
Panicism still gets the Tracer differential, will be able to survive, at least for now. But no, it seems like the game plan is just jump at the backline with a Pharah rocket, and we'll make that into some form of dive. Via Caplague really didn't seem that aware of the possibility, so when Super just jumps past 3 people, is basically full HP as he lands in the backline. Via Caplague on the retake will be, you know, more flush in terms of the check marks, but Nano Winston could be, you know, a bit of a threat with no Brig to guard him back.
Yeah, immediately with the anti-nade as well, Spazzy got hit by that Inferno too. Just have to proc the ultimate to both stay alive, but has used it to push back into the backline there and cause concern. As Nubin is finding out that one person cannot take out a gorilla, even if we found it earlier in Overwatch that 100 men versus 1 gorilla, well, the men easily take it, as we've seen. 5-0 was the score on that one, by the way. Super jumps in, half health. Yeah, goodbye. That's going to not go well for you. The orbital ray comes up, and that's going to be the emboldened exclamation mark at the end of that sentence.
Probably didn't need the orbital ray, but the stagger is something you definitely like to have, right? Panicism with a melee to close that out. 2.5 minutes on that time bank, not too bad whatsoever, but what is pretty bad is the economy, right? Because we're looking like some Great Depression era finances on the side of VA Caplague, the closest checkmark. Nuben, 47% off. Anomaly, I mean, they just take a rally fight here, and VA Caplague going to need a mechanical pick. They're going to need Spazzy to have another hero moment, else that's going to be second point given over.
Yeah, roaring 20s or not, Caplague, they want to hold on to it. They are slowly getting back up after the crash, but they're pushing in. Inferno still has the Nemesis form. The rally is going to be met in kind as Super is actually just going to collapse under the immense pressure with the focus of the entire team. Inferno was trying to destroy the bricks of King's Row before they left. Just do a little bit of damage to the streets there. And yeah, I think Spazzy might be swapping there. That was a very late noon.
I think he's got a broken clock, I'll put it that way, because there's no way that was the time for a high noon. Didn't kill anything, obviously. Didn't really even give him the benefit of the damage reduction. Kind of just stood there and died, but no, he's sticking. I'm not sure about that one. Call it a fat finger. Anomaly through into the third point. Time back healthy enough at slightly sub 3 minutes, and Kidios forced back.
That was very close to just being a one-time, especially at that angle, get the headshots there. They are continuing to pressure the backline, and I think Kuragari got a little bit lost, just thought, screw it, I'm going to throw pulse bomb, see what sticks. So she will actually get stuck by one, going to go down to Panicrism. Kuragari is going to find a trade there. Spazzy again equalizing. This is back and forth slobber knocker of a fight right now. The nano onto Inferno didn't really get too much done, but finally Super's going to be forced back. They're going to use an annihilation here, but they're just cornered here, getting body blocked to get stuck in there. The beam comes down from Mars finally to save them. That sleep is perfect, gives enough time to get the health back onto Inferno. They can back up, take a chill pill here, and jumping in front of their tank, the High Noon, again very brave, but this time perhaps the clock has been mended. Now another big sleep onto Super is going to force a lot of resources out from Anomaly to try and keep their tank alive. The blade now going to be swinging out unsheathed. Oh, the deflect kill there is perfect onto Nubin. But there's still a lot of members alive here, and with Inferno finding John Wack, it's not as clean because you've just lost your Juno there. They are just forcing Inferno back, hoping to do something, but the beam comes out, and by attached to a life support system, Inferno survived.
Inferno was getting more resources than the United States military could provide there. You see how much healing he got while holding block there? Just Kido's full pocketing. Pops the ray, not even for the damage boost, just so you can get the extra 85 HPS through. But it's enough to get the turn. 45 seconds now. Big Cat Blake still holding. They've got a nano boost for this final defense. And Anomaly have to pray that Super can finish off this annihilation in time, because it's all they're going to have to crack this final point.
Kuragari immediately finds Kidios, so Catplague are in a bit of an issue. They're going to force the nano early here. With that deflect gone, BTS fan will get pummeled, just taken out there and KO'd. They are still needing to struggle forward. 20% remaining. Spazzy again with the High Noon, finding the dead eye there into John Wack, who, to be fair, was getting, well, is roughly close to Orbital Ray. Anomaly continue to struggle to do anything to Inferno, who seems to be infinitely alive.
Well, you know, temporarily, at least, he's going to have to go down. Still picks, I would imagine, going to be out for being Catplague in a second. No, also try and turn this. They're going to have help buddies on the point and hope the raw mass is enough.
That anti onto BTS fan is big, but Inferno comes back on Doomfist, immediately takes Kuragari out of the fight. Sushirul also following John Wax in a lot of potential issue. Kidios falls, and suddenly it looks like they will be able to do this. Almost stepping off the point, but Inferno going to get hit by the uppercut there as Super lives up to the name of Annihilation at the end as they clean up the fight, and they do complete King's Rule, albeit no time bank, but at least they got the completion.
I mean, they probably shouldn't have, you know, at least on paper, right? They just clutched up, for lack of a better phrase. We're going into that final fight, you're late on Annihilate. Nano Boost is online. We should just win the Nano fight. But instead, we trade 1 for 1, lose the fight out afterwards if you are VA Catplague. And on the recontest, you come back, kill 2 members. You're basically all on wave spawn, so you're 5v3. And you just lose the 5v3. Yeah, you are down resources, HP, all that jazz. But these are just not advantage situations that Anomaly are winning. So huge props to them for being able to keep their heads, you know, screwed on straight, to be able to keep their cool. Because it is what's keeping them in King, so it is what allowed them to finish. And as you mentioned, no time bank, that's for sure. But extra innings are still locked in all the same, and they will be more than happy enough with that. And being able to show that they are, you know, still hanging with the big boys. They are still competitive. It is great to see. Take a quick look at the scoreboard, and nothing jumps out too crazy for me. I think it's all pretty standard, all pretty even across the boards.
Yeah, I would have expected more damage to come out from BTS fan, but of course they did eventually swap off of the Pharah, so you know, I understand not getting too much more in there. But now on the defensive side of things, we're not seeing the Pharah, we're just going to immediately start on the Genji.
Indeed we are. Just wants to stop messing around and start playing what he finished on. With the Genji comp, we need to be going fast, but also needs to be not insta-dying to walls. So VA can play Panicism, a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and considering that they're not playing any dive here, they can just walk onto point and take a fight, and BTS Fan was not ready for that life. Gets taken out by a clothesline from Inferno, who has just cemented themselves on point up against Super BH, who does fall, and having a Mei Cass in a brawl fight here just means Super is at a constant disadvantage if they want to take these fights.
Yeah, they're going to swap DPS onto his Soj. They want to play much more for the range now, much more for the poke. It does occur to me, actually, that basing Mabel is so much harder when you have a Juno because your speed is so predictable, right? It's so set in stone, whereas with the Lucio, what we've obviously banned out, when it's always sort of there, the amp is a little bit less visible. Makes it a lot harder for the Mei to hit that cooldown consistently, and so a great use of the Lucio ban, I think, actually, to find some success from VA Cat play. And already ahead of the choke, already looking to press their advantage. They can probably go for an early rally way before Anomaly can match them.
Yeah, they know the importance of getting through this initial choke, so Inferno's just stepped forward onto this corner and is just trying to take the streets phase as quickly as they can to get through this initial hurdle here. A lot of damage, a little bit of miscommunication there of Spazzy taking a high noon as the tank was backing up, but it works out in the end. Speed ring is used, and Super is looking to go in here, but BTS Fan is on their own angle, gets taken out by Spazzy and the backline. That's a new band name, by the way, as the backline of Anomaly are scampering for help, and Super's trying to do their best to hit Spazzy with the shot to the back of the head there. They still have the Annihilation. They can push into this one and keep this fight going, especially with the brick being so far forward. They're going to have to force their rally here. The beam is actually what comes out instead of the rally, matched by John Wax. Sushi Roll is going to fall 5% away from their own rally. With Nuben going down, I would imagine you're going to see that rally eventually come out from Kedios. But it's still a very chaotic fight with lots of elements all over the place. Good whip shot's going to extend their life there, but will eventually fall. Annihilation comes out, that extra armor comes in. Suddenly Inferno's thinking twice, but shocker, RKO from the other side. Inferno had their own, stays alive, takes out Super.
We really could have rallied at any point during that fight, and it would have been a hell of a lot easier. Now we're in this weird 2v2 and waiting on respawns. It's not really close for either side. Sushi Roll, Kedios, we're going to have dueling rallies now. Surely this ultimate is finally invested if we see any sort of recontest at all from Anomaly.
Also, this Blizzard, at this specific point here with the payload being where it is going to be devastating. Yep, there goes the tank. It's all you had to get. You didn't need to get multi-kill, you just had to get the tank. Spazzy is going to go down to BTS Fan. The rally from Sushi is going to come out here, but not even on the point, just to keep the fight going, and it still doesn't even work. They still lose it.
I mean, I think I mentioned before the game that I thought Sushi Roll's bring been suspect at times. Unfortunately, here it rears its ugly head again. Pops rally when you're down like 2 members. Point has already been unlocked. You're not contributing towards the time bank whatsoever, and you still die for it? I mean, that is cataclysmic. Can't use it in the fight, and you've staggered yourself. Anomaly, unfortunately, all their good work in that previous round could be going to the absolute ether as 4+ minutes. And there's another dead Sushi Roll.
Oh, I don't quite know what happened to the barrier there. It must have been broken. That wall is devastating for Super, who's just cut off from their backline. Rally from Kedios finally comes in, and it looks to be the cement poured into the 6-foot hole that has been dug there, because there ain't no getting back. It's a difference between 0 minutes, 0 seconds, and 3 minutes, 47 seconds. That is a statement made by Capleg.
Listen, Kedios might have held that rally for the reckoning, but thankfully, when it came to Judgment Day, I think they got a pretty good result there. As you mentioned, 3 minutes, 47 seconds to cap 1/3 of the objective. Need I remind the viewers at home that it took them sub 1 minute to cap the first time. They've basically got a whole fresh time bank to find 33.3 recurring percentage points. They can do whatever they want. Play a fast comp, go for picks on a Widowmaker, bank ults on like some Anna Juno nonsense. They have so much time. They're so comfortable. And the worst result as well they can get is a draw. Lord, oh Lord. And this time, I think the scoreboard tells a pretty different story. I mean, you look 12 deaths on Sushiro. Unfortunately, she's been somewhat struggling. BES fan on 10. And you look at the other side of the board, and Inferno is just chilling. 32 elims and 5 deaths.
Yeah,
leading the
only
lobby
5
right now.
deaths.
Exactly, that's just nuts.
Like, you're telling me that, like, I mean, there's been at least, like, 3, 4, like, beams, like, orbital rays. Inferno is just staying alive, and you see all the time, like, partially it's them knowing when to weave in their blocks, but also their backline doing wonders for them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. See if the backline can do it one more time as they roll out on Bastion Genji. They know a little bit of cheese on her. John Wax already 1 HP.
That was very close. I mean, an orbital, a speed ring plus a Bastion form is a little bit terrifying. I'm not quite for the Formula 1 smoke there. Oh god, no, Super's just immediately alone. Is going to have to force her team to rotate very quickly to be able to get eyes on them. And that's going to cause issue. Of course, you know, we're in extra innings, all the perks are available, and it's the it's the tank upgrade that they've went for with the ability.
Yeah, that they have. So, what is this rotate? By the way, this is diabolical. This Juno is in such a world of hurt. And this time, the cannon shells won't connect, but they've still forced the space. They've still got the high ground. And it's still Anomaly, who was on the back foot until the fire angle now activated.
Okay, John Wack has used one of the 9 lives that they have. You'd think it'd be Cat Plague that would have the extra lives, but no. BTS fan on the Farah looking to just do what they do best, which is to be able to weave in and out of this fight, deal precise damage, and now they're making Cat Plague rethink the Bastion.
I think the Bastion was a gimmick. And I think that now it hasn't worked. You know, 2 shakes of the stick in a row. They decided that Spazzy's cast is probably a more well-trodden path, I'll put it that way. We're behind on ults, we can still play for an Anomaly, but it's so far away. VA Cat Plague, I'm not sure that was the start they maybe wanted to go for, because now Anomaly maybe have some more momentum.
Yeah, momentum can really dig in, especially if the ultimates that they gain here are well layered. Oh, BTS fan has to be a little bit careful there. You can't go too deep against Spazzy with no corners there. It's going to be the overclock of Kurgari coming out. Panacrism immediately gets sent back to spawn with the damage there. Kyrgios getting caught out in Hotel. And again, the Cat Plague pushed back and only 1 ultimate utilized from the defense.
Yeah, and even though, you know, normally you could say you got the exit frag, it's going to be okay, you've got closer spawns, the fact we see the stagger come through onto Shbazi means that it won't happen. I'm just waiting for his respawn. He's got nothing else to do. Because shooting the walk up, I mean, you just get negative resources, so I get it. I get it.
Yeah, where exactly is Inferno right now? In the back line? Yeah, coming in from the streets. I didn't even know how they got there. Kurgari and BTS fan cleaned up the rally used. However, Spec, both support ults were used by Anomaly there.
You're walking into a Ray Annihilate fight where they can maybe get Nano as well with just the... Ugh, it's painful, it's painful. VA Cat Plague, I think they have a very easy road to victory. All they have to do is wait until they're like 90 on Nano Boost, and then just full send their other ults, use the Nano as a continuation. They're not even going to do that, just full going.
Yeah, full going, opening up with Orbital Ray. That anti-nade onto Super is devastating, and the Annihilation wasn't enough to keep them alive. Kurogari's been slept as well, so there's not even that pressure. With BTS fan going down, it's all over. Inferno pulls the Annihilation. Nano would have been ready as well, and I think, looking back at that one, Anomaly did have a chance. They just had to not use both support ultimates in that fight previous to the last. But yeah, again, Cat Plague proving that there's a tier break here.
Yeah, I mean, they made it close. I do think they made it close by, you know, minor league trolling, starting on the Bastion. But I think if you just compare those 2 attack rounds side by side, you do really get to see the difference between these 2 teams, at least on paper. When we're on Anomaly's map pick, when they have control over the veto phase, then at the end of the day, we have to assume that's the best they can bring to bear, especially when all picks are still in. All maps, all bans. So this is the most advantaged map they could possibly create for themselves, and they didn't get stomped out of it, but there was a clear winner and a clear loser. And unfortunately, that means Anomaly are going to have to complete the reverse sweep if they want to stay here, to continue in CGL EMEA Masters Division.
also will get eliminated in a pretty confident third place.
I mean, to be fair, you're looking at this team Anomaly and you're thinking, how did they even get here? Well, they didn't even make it to the mid-season, so they weren't even in the conversation during the mid-season playoffs. Now their worst-case scenario is third place. Like, that's already a victory, but of course they want more. You don't walk into matches like, oh, it's fine if we lose because at least we did that. No, that's not what competition is. You walk in and you want to do your best. So there's still a chance here for them to pick a good map for themselves and lean into their strengths and find something. And it's a little bit of like reining it in a bit. Their ultimates are being a little bit thrown at the wall sometimes versus Catplague, who seem to be a little bit keen with their ultimates. They're not utilizing them in fights that they, either they're planning on not using them because they know that their opponents are going to use all theirs and then they just get a free next fight. But there is going to be a little bit of break, a chance for these teams to, well, for Anomaly to go back to the drawing board, see if they can find something here in the two maps that they've played against Catplague. Catplague, though, they're probably pretty confident with this break. They just need to keep on going with what's happening, and they should be through to the finals with no worry. But we'll be right back after this short break. Right now, we have a team called Anomaly, and they're on the run because Cat Plague are looking like Alien from Alien vs. Predator, and they are on the run from... I had to bring it back. I had to bring it back.
So laboured, man.
I had to bring it back in some way. Very forced. I don't care. Who's gonna care? Who's marking me? Right? I'm unmarkable.
Me.
Anyway, oh, you're marking me. You're marking my joke lanes. That's very unfair of you.
Listen, well, you could have said something like, Anomaly have a cat allergy, but Tish, easy. They could be sneezing away their chances to a CGL Grand Final here. Suravasa, they hope the antihistamine to stabilize them. Boom. Easy. Not even labors.
Yeah, but I wanted to reference my reference because I'm more important. Yes, we're going to Suravasa. This is, by all terms and purposes, going to be the final map. Anomaly, they need to improve in basically kind of every aspect. They need to kind of figure out what they want to do. They've chosen Suravasa. That's the map they want to go to. So very clearly, they're going to be comfortable here. On King's Row, they did finish the map. Unfortunately, they didn't get any extra time, so they were put into a draw-lose situation. But now's their chance to try and bring it back. It will need to be a reverse sweep if they want to get to the Grand Finals. But I've seen it done before, so perhaps they have it within them.
I think Suravasa is quickly on its way to, be in the same tier of King's Row, Lijiang in terms of how much it's being played. See if the new Flashpoint changes that. Diva Ban is curious because we haven't seen it before at all, honestly. I would imagine it's here as a tank protect or a counter to Winston, Hazard, or Wrecking Ball. I can't think of another use case, and VA Catplay will probably know that those are the only real reasons that hero is getting Thanos snapped.
Yeah, poor Diva. What did Diva ever do? I guess, yeah, probably the tank protect, as you say. Now, obviously, support up for grabs here. We could, force, go for the Ana, target what might be one of the only flex supports that the double main support can play. Juno is actually going to get targeted. That's a pretty big hit there.
Indeed. Yeah, I think Juno Ban, will hurt them if they want to play anything remotely shooting. I don't think the Juno Ban is that good, to be entirely honest. I think that generally the points where it looked closest, where we were on the Kiriko, I think the Juno just looked tricky, right? For John Reck and Sushiro to be able to maneuver around. I imagine that they'll just move towards Lucio Kiri again. So personally, not what I would have banned out, but I imagine there's some sort of idea here from VA Catplague that we will be seeing relatively quickly. On the whole, I think we've been seeing some pretty odd pick bans. I'm still kind of bamboozled by that Torbjorn last map.
Yeah, thinking back, what was the deal? What did Torb do to deserve that target? And I can't really think of much. I mean, you hit it on the head when banning Torb is good if you're going to be playing Hazard. Hazard was nowhere to be seen. We saw Winston. We saw Winston played. Maybe that was it. I forget who banned it. I guess, actually.
But then you can ban harder Winston counters. You could ban a tank counter. I'd ban around if I wanted to play Winston a lot of the time, so they can't hard jam choke and kind of stall out the Winston as indeed we saw them do, especially on their own attacking phase. But I think we will probably be seeing Bull Comp again. Yes, makes sense for Anomaly. Recap Plague on the Winston, also a good idea. Panicism, if he plays the Echo, is going to have a pretty rough time of things. Realistically, I mean, you've got really weak duels into Kuragari, into Super, not many targets to go on. All the flanks you'll take will be marked. But other than that, Winston's super strong into the Wrecking Ball. You generally find you have stronger cycles. John Wag can't really run away from you, and so we'll end up going down after about the second jump. I think it's about 50-50, depending on how much value Panicism can find.
Well, perhaps Super can find the value. It's not like Lijiang was a total blowout, so they can find it again. Throwing the stickies. Hazardly doesn't find purchase of anything. A very bold slam there is going to force Super to back up immediately. Panacrism was looking for the beam there, didn't quite get it. John Whack is going to get whacked. Taken out of the fight already. Spazzy with the melee there. Now Panacrism can go nice and aggressive, deal that damage, and Super needs to scamper off.
Yeah, pretty quick and clean here. This time mostly Spazzy getting stuck in has been mostly the story of this game, right? And unfortunately, Anomaly not really able to find any of the trades you're really looking for when you're on this full comp. You need to be finding eliminations. You need to be finding these frags even in lost fights, because that's the kind of chaos that the composition thrives in. If we're not even seeing that, we're just outmatched at the mechanical level even.
On that mechanical level, the cogs are turning for Gurgari as Nubin is going to fall. Spazzy immediately trades, so BTS fan not in here to deal their damage. And it's going to make it a lot harder on the entry here. Super has found Panacrism, who has been de-winged and grounded as of now. Super went for the slam there. Probably shouldn't have, because it took so much heart doing so. And at no point has Anomaly gotten control of this point. This whole fight has been in control by Catplague, and now at 90%, they're looking like they're just going to get some stagger picks here. So yeah, Spazzy's 1v5 in there, brawling against them. You go for it, but didn't quite work out because, well, we're not in an action movie right now. We're in a reality. The ball's going to be forced back. John Whack is put into a tricky position. Meanwhile, Kurgari finds Panacrism. Of course, if they don't have their shift, then Kurgari's going to have so much free reign with it. And this is a player that has constantly stepped up to the mark for Anomaly and turned the tides of these fights.
That was probably more labor than it had to be. Anomaly spent a lot of that fight conga lining, just 4 stacking, which is really the opposite of what you want to be doing. But as soon as we see an angle being taken from Kuragari, obviously some fantastic work on the Tracer there to finally battle back the Catplague, if at least for a moment. Also going through in line, generally that is going to favor Catplague still.
Of course, you don't want to be doing the Congo line here. At best, a cha-cha slide, but Kuragari and John Wick will be cha-cha sliding back to spawn. They're not going to be in this one. Super is grasping for fresh air, trying to get something to keep themselves alive, gets a med pack, but it's still going to be hunted down by the Tracer, and Catplague, with all their check marks still in place, will be securing that first point.
That was not hard whatsoever for Catplague, one of the most simple retakes I've ever seen. They see a target, they jump on it, they lose basically no resources and find a 2-for-nothing trade. Now up 5 ults, yeah, Anomaly have 4 of their own, but like I mentioned, the Winston comp just finds more value from the Kitsune Rush. The Primal a hell of a lot more consistent than Minefield. It's going early with the Kitsu.
Kitsu is up, Nubin gets the Suzu there to keep the team alive momentarily for the beat to come in after, and this Primal Rage very targeted to BTS fan. Doesn't want them to be able to get any eliminations with that railgun there, and Inferno doing a good job of keeping the line here. The control will go in the favor of Catplague.
Yeah, I mean, they do spend pretty heavily, as you mentioned, so, okay, that's a bit of a weird death from Sushi Roll there. The Sticky's not going to finish off anybody else, but Nubin will instead, so it doesn't even matter that they're behind an ults, because they're still winning this mid-rotate fight with just aggression and left clicks, realistically, right? Yeah, somebody tickles point. It doesn't matter whatsoever, because what are they going to do about it? There's no team here. And, yeah, it's just hard to find any sort of advantage for Anomaly. I would probably say their best game plan is send their Bull or Tracer to point, TP your Kiri there, drop a Kitsu, and then hope everybody can plan it to force a flip, and then hope something goes in your way, but we'll see.
Oh, ball mash, and immediately BTS fan gets conquered out. Mines is going to be there for Superfan, basically stopping Panacrism from getting too much done, and now they're in a tricky position where they have to gently fly out of the fight, but the rest of the team has found value. That was a nice pulse bomb on a moving target there, especially a Lucio, and that point is ticking away. It's match point, it's map point. Catplague are very close to just clean sweeping through into the grand finals.
I mean, very few signs of life for Anomaly. Occasionally Kuragari will do something on that Tracer, but it is few and far between at this point. Get the force off on the higher ground. We're already down positionally if we're Anomaly. We missed the pulse, sure, but the Queen is still forced out anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be the Kitsune rush from John Wack there to just place that right on the point of the Junker Queen there. You don't really want to be facing that, especially if your Monkey Nuben going to fall. Inferno's just going to back up to try and stay alive, but they are just leaping back to spawn. Kuragari will not let them go with a clean slate, however.
Yeah, it's the second time this game, actually, we see some sort of progress accrued from Anomaly, but still yet to take a flashpoint here. I mean, there's always a chance for that to change up, but seeing the Queen, we just instant-swap to the Ramatra. Yeah, you lose the ult fight with, you know, Annihilate the Rampage, but other than that, you just run over the Queen in the neutral.
Kitsune Rush met immediately with the sound barrier, but, I mean, Super's gone. You don't have the Junker Queen. If you don't have a Queen, you don't have a Kingdom. They are just going to be falling like pawns, and normally have at least got some percentage on this board, but now they need to be running it back.
I don't actually understand how Super was able to get picked there. You've got Sound Barrier, presumably Cleanse, presumably Shout. Yeah, I know you got Kitsune, but that's a lot of defensive cooldowns to be forced through very, very quickly now. I mean, they have to stay. They're coming close to their ultimates, but we just need to play for them. We need this Rampage SOC to find value.
Kuragari already on 1 HP. Needs to be careful there. Also will be hunting for the Pulse Bomb. Did find a double at one point here. Could you do a repeat? Much harder done! Oh, Suyo almost goes down as Suzu comes out early in this fight. Anomaly have a lot of offensive tools here. Kirio's looking for the boom. Looking for the death on Tsushiro, but it's Spazzy who gets the double with the Pulse Bomb. Turns it around full circle. BTS fan down during overclock. Super not even there for the Rampage. 85%. There's not even going to be a touch here. You're going to maybe get Kuragari there, but at best you're not going to get anything. Yeah, Spazzy's there for it. That is just dominance. Cat Plague are looking like they're out for vengeance. And it just so happened that today Anomaly was in their way, but the true yarn that they want to play with is Dream Eaters, because they want to go there and ruin their dreams and be the nightmare in the grand finals, because this was a near no contest.
Okay, I mean, John Wack and BTS fan just straight line into each other. But no, Spazzy has been ridiculous all series long. Obviously the MVP, at least in my eyes. There's so many clutches coming through, so many hype moments. And, you know, because of this play, we ended up seeing, you know, basically a toast for the clean sweep. The one we're seeing on our screen right now in particular, of course. I mean, like I mentioned on that map 1, that was close at least, but it just came down to individuals, just came down to mechanics. Map 2 and 3, sure, it came down to individuals, but that was because we never really got into the point of having to talk about gameplay, talk about macro, talk about, you know, compositional matchup. It was just Cat Plague would rock up, hit more shots, then convert off the back of it. That's exactly what we saw on that bull comp, where we just didn't even get to see them take these kind of chaos fights that in theory they're looking for. Just a bit of a smackdown coming through and absolutely confirming why they are the number 2 seed of EMEA Masters Division and why they deserve that spot in the Grand Finals ahead of Dream Eaters.
I mean, Dream Eaters are probably sitting back when... I mean, first of all, they're probably confident. They did 3-0 Cat Plague in Winners Round 3, and you described it earlier as Dream Eaters, Tier Break, Cat Plague. Well, it was Cat Plague, Tier Break, and normally today, now Cat Plague are going to make sure that they're not going to be in the same position that they just put Anomaly in, right? They need to be on their A game here. They can't... If you're thinking how's that grand finals performance going to be like, you have to look at this one and think, okay, what did they let happen to them? Well, King's Row got captured. We let a lot of time a single tracer could get into a flank and do way too much damage. And with a team that's going to be more communicative and have a tracer and, you know, either a monkey or whatever it is going in at the same time, it's going to be even harder to keep an Ashe alive or something like that alive. So you have to be aware that you can't be too relaxed in controlling those lanes, especially against Tracers, because I think Tracers seem to be a bit of a thorn in their side today. I mean, Kurgari was looking good. I would say definitely the best on the team of Anomaly for sure. But
yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, and again, it's not purely because of teamwork, it's purely mechanics.
Yeah, I think it's also fair enough. Obviously, we're seeing on screen the bans here. I know I made my opinions known about these already, but I think the Torb and Diva bans are just not that good, realistically. I understand what you want to play similar to what they want to play, but also it's not working, guys. I think try something else. I think we did see a pretty consistent win on the ban from VA Cat Plague, even the Juno in the end, which I think was a bit of an own goal even. Still ended up just being perfectly comfortable for them. It never felt like there was a point where VA Cat Plague could have played something, only it was banned. Whether there was a solution out of reach for them, they were always in control. We're going to hear probably exactly how in control they were, though, in a little bit, because we shall have an interview for you after this break. See you in a little bit, guys.
There's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
The mouse has been caught by the cat. That's pretty much the description I'd give for this match, as Cat Plague came into here looking like they'd be the dominant team, and they left looking somehow even more dominant as they pushed themselves towards the grand finals. But we will get a look at a little bit of the inner workings of the team as we have an interview today. We have Kedios from the team of Cat Plague to discuss what was going through the minds of the team. First of all, congratulations on the victory. How are you feeling?
No, thank you. Feeling a bit out of air as did our DPS today, but good match. A bit closer than we thought, but it's good.
Yeah, you mentioned it being a bit closer. I would say, yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. There was some times there they captured King's Row. There was some fights there where some of them maybe got away with a little bit too much. Well, what do you think went on there? Was it overconfidence on your side, or did they surprise you with their skill? What do you think made it closer than it should have been?
Well, first, our Flex DPS is taking a break, so we have a sub, amazing Nikki playing on Panarchism. So we had part of the comms being slightly different for this match. Also, our second DPS is, as I mentioned, out of air today, so another com structure down. So we were slightly playing slightly differently today, but luckily we pulled through.
And you pulled through in 3-0 fashion, right? So it did feel a little bit awkward at times, but you're obviously able to convert. I feel like we got to talk about, Spazzy, though, who just played like a kind of ridiculous series of Overwatch. I mean, how did that feel, playing around it? Was everyone playing to enable that kind of DPS player, or was it just kind of you were chilling, you were doing your jobs, and just scooping up those funnel blows?
I would say we were doing our jobs, and then we were cheering Spazzy on as he went absolutely diabolical.
Yeah, fair enough. It looked kind of pretty comfortable, I'd say. I think for a specific question, I'd like to know about how it felt playing the Ashe and Juno into the Monkey Dive, because it seemed kind of awkward for you guys for a while before you turned it around. So how did that kind of King's Row go? What were the combos like at the beginning, and what helped you close it out in the end?
Oh, that's a good question. I was definitely suffering on Juno into Genji Tracer, 100%. So I did not feel that well. But we just did what we needed to do, mostly. And again, pulled through. There wasn't too much there, in my opinion. We were just thinking what was our comp strongest at, what we needed to punish on their side, and then just trying to execute that plan. No more, no less.
Thank you very much.
Well, the next step for the team is the grand finals, and we know the team you'll be facing is Dream Eaters. You have met Dream Eaters in the winners round 3, and they beat you 3-0. Since that last match, and between now and the grand finals, what are you as a team doing to try and make sure that that doesn't repeat itself? Like, are you looking back at that match? Are you trying to see what their strengths are, coming up with strategies? What's the kind of mindset that the team has going into this grand finals?
I would say the last match is definitely an outlier for us, in a way that we performed way worse than we should be. So until the grand finals, we will be mostly doing a mental reset, just getting us back into form, and then getting ready for the grand finals. That's all there is to it. And then, we have, this is the first tourney that the team in this iteration is playing. And the goal going into this tourney was always to just do our best and improve as a team. And I think we've already achieved that goal. So no matter how the grand finals go, I'm very proud of my team.
Yeah, as you should be. If that was the goal, then you far and exceeded that, because at worst you're second place in the Masters division. So you've definitely improved, that's for sure. Definitely from watching the team at the start to now, you can feel that improvement. Even if Blue is taking a break and Panicrism's in, you can feel the energy still. Last question then, do you have any shout outs, call outs, anyone you'd like to mention on stream?
Pazzy the GOAT, Blue, we love you, and go V8. That's all from me. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you. Well, we'll let you go back to your team to celebrate and recuperate some energy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, another match, another day. Cat Plague versus Dream Eaters will be the grand finals match of this division. Spec, I know you're a busy man with places to be, so I won't flounder too long, but I know where you guys should be, because there's some matches later today. We have YE Snowfall up against Mental Institution. I know that's my hometown. That'll be happening at 8 Eastern. Solar Eclipse up against Cuddle Puddle will be happening at 10 Eastern. So if you are a Night Owl EU person, then you can watch that late at night. If you're NA and you're watching this right now, I guess it'll be kind of like late afternoon, then you can enjoy it at your regular normal times or whatever you American people do. Talk about the Americas, though. Copa America, to remind you, is going to be premiering on May 16th. Broadcast in 3 languages at once, and you're going to see the countries of, well, not all the countries, but 4 of the countries of South America. Basically see who is the best in the region, who has the chops to be number 1, and it's very exciting to see that region get more and more spotlight, because there's a lot of people from the community in South America. But Spec, do you have any final thoughts, words, concerns, soliloquies you'd like to make on this one?
Well, I can't remember my Hamlet quite as well as I'd like, so I think I'll just say I love the fighting words we heard earlier from Kadios. It's great to feel like you massively underperform, but it's very different to actually do so in that grand final. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for the conclusion of this tournament, because I think it's going to really cement or maybe upend some of our ideas about this division. But thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Today we've had Lossie on the observation, Hippie doing the production. Of course, me and Gio have been your wonderful casting duo, and I think from everybody here at CGL, we shall bid you adieu.
Name straight, new wave.